Hi, this is an Ocaso Delos, and this one caught my eye. Just seeing pictures online, I probably checked out a review or two, and what appealed to me about the look of this knife is the it looks very functional, very purposeful, very clean lines. And I like the way that it looks to me, kind of like a puukko, like a folding puukko, you know. And I'm not going to speak that much here pedantically about what constitutes an actual puukko. And I highly recommend that anyone who's interested check out Kukkali Bushcraft's video on that topic, uh, because things do get called puukkos that aren't. And anything folding wouldn't really qualify. But what are the characteristics of a Puukko that I would like to have in a folding knife? Well, about a 3-inch blade, a light handle with an ergonomic that allows you to choke right up. The blade basically will start from where your hand leaves off then. So you get that full cutting length. And the profile, I guess historically a Puukko could have any kind of profile, but typically they tend to have a bit of a belly on them and a bit of a point on them. And, not too thick stock with something like a saber or a Scandi grind. And, they're sharp. They should come really sharp out of the box or out of the packet or off the display or however you get it, which this one did. And this is not a knife that I feel like I need to kind of fiddle with it and modify it in any way at the moment. I do think actually maybe I could hone it up a little, but I really don't want to cut too deep into that finish, and I don't think I need to. Micrometers are out of batteries, but this is very thin behind the edge, for sure. And the grind is great, very straight and true and beautiful. Just the kind of knife you would expect to be designed in California and then manufactured in China, because you hear it noised that you can't really have this kind of knife made for you. It's not even about the money. China's the only place that could do it. And they've got the ability to get all the tolerances and the fit and finish so good. So here's something I just kind of noticed earlier. What does that mean? That means the pocket clip is putting pressure on the frame lock here. So it's acting as an over travel stop. That's pretty cool. Yeah, you can see the action on this thing. Pretty much flawless. So I'm going to give an honorable mention to a guy who left a comment on Captain Electro's latest video, shouting him out for his manicure. And perhaps in part thanks to him and my ensuing shame response on reading that comment. Between take 1 and this, which is take 2 of this video, I went and brushed my nails. And I also went at that point and grabbed a couple of other knives because I had mentioned them in my first take. This is the Spyderco Nikkala and the little Nikkala. I don't recall exactly where I put my scale. Should have been fun for weighing, but if anyone really cares, they can look up the knives, look up the spec. I can't speak to some of the spec. This is S9 TV, right? I'm pretty sure they're both the same. Oh, excuse me, S30V. Whoops. Okay, I can't speak to anything. I'm ignorant. And it's ignorance more than malice that would be responsible for this cloudy looking. I was just I got both of these secondhand, and both of these knives, as with the actual Spyderco Puukko, same designer. Pekka Tuominen. So yeah, they tend to be chippy on the factory edge because they were so finely ground. They went the opposite of the way that things tend to go. You usually get even premium knives. They're all thick and, sort of not really very cut worthy. And these guys came just, like a scalpel sharp. But then they chipped. They chipped out on the owner, and the owner sold it on the eBay. And I was delighted to get my hands on it. So yeah, this is the Nikkala, the little Nikkala. And they are pretty kind of similar in profile, but there are some marked differences. The scales are kind of shaped differently. Actually, the grinds really are a little and large, aren't they? Super cute knife. This one's now is done much down to 0, and in the RWL 34, my goodness, this is such a scalpel. Just testing on this thing. Yikes! Wow, just yeah, pretty close to the original 0 edge on this one. And yeah, this one got cloudy because I put her on the Tormac and ground in a bit more of a robust micro bevel. Also very nice, not such a keen cutter, but a bit more control on this one. Lovely. So comparison-wise, performance-wise, performance-wise, I mean, this thing absolutely cuts on the factory edge to compete with either of those, at least how they are now. And I would say the Nikkala, the little one is probably as good or better than factory in terms of the keenness and the so forth. I mean, Damasteel, awesome blade steel. I would prefer this over either of the other two excellent and fine blade steels. Although I think RWL 34 has got to be a really awesome steel, and it's got some cool factor too. Some serious cool factor. But actually, come to think of it, that's one of the steels in Damasteel. So talk about cool factor. Yeah, so this thing cuts awesomely. Factory edge and no chipping on this. And okay, this is not so Puukko, right? Having this Tanto profile, but it's not that far off because it's it's kind of like a one consistent sweep with the point, and then you just got that little tooth in there. So if you're doing a slashing or a sweeping cut, it's going to perform much the same. It's a little jog there. But now you have this straight edge. You have this tooth. And you have this little wicked carving knife, like a kiridashi. Up at the top there, you can get up on this tip. Ooh. So, yeah, this is a piece of oak that is still only partly seasoned. So that's a nice, easy whittling. Now, here's some crusty applewood I thought we might try. Still feels pretty sharp. So, I mean, that was nasty, what I just did. Yeah. So yeah, this knife on the factory edge I would pretty much guarantee you doing the same thing. It would have microchipped. But now, oof, oh yeah, that's better though. That is awesome. Yeah. I mean that's that's going to cut for both the others, right? But you know, limitations. You won't want to put much torsion on it or anything. Also, the sharpening life is pitiable on this one. Unless you just don't sharpen this part, I guess. Yeah, maybe that. Maybe I'll watch out for that. Maybe I'll not really sharpen much on this. No regrinding. Regrinding forward of the hole. So yeah, another point about the Puukko is that it's lightweight and it has a specific balance. You know, it should have a balance point around where your index finger is. And that's where this one triumphs. They actually got it. I mean, find me a folding knife with this level of robustness and this balance point. You know. Otherwise, a buck 112 is a lot like a Puukko, you know, or yeah. But it's not, because the balance point is back here on that. And so here, check this out. And this thing is heavy with these big walloping G10 scales, big old handle, right? A lot of steel in there. So it's a heavy knife, and the balance point is all the way back here. So that, in that aspect, it's really not so Puukko, you know? Feels too heavy, too handle heavy, you know? Now, I mean, cutting with the blade and everything, yeah, the blade is very on point with the characteristics, I would say. But weight-wise, we're talking, I don't know if twice as heavy, but, you know, at least 1.5 times. And I think that these two weigh about the same. Even then, the Ocaso might be lighter. Hard to say. But, you know, you get more use out of this one for general utility tasks. This thing is like a, you know, I would say, you know, well, if you wanted to open a package with the utmost surgical precision, but yeah, for detail carving stuff, or for actual surgery, you know, like, no kidding, this is like a scalpel. Well, that's just a notion. Folding knives that are kind of like Puukkos. Three knives, 2 American companies. These are made in Taiwan, and that's made in Italia. Thanks for watching.